Yo, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? Hopefully, you guys are still enjoying your holiday season with your family. Probably by now, everybody's back home, relaxing. I just wanted to come on here and talk about something because I get a lot of you already know what I talk about, So before we get into it, go ahead and share this. Get in the comments section as I'm talking. If you like what I'm saying, let me know that you like it. If you don't like what I'm saying, let me know that you don't like it. I enjoy disagreement. We can have a conversation in the comments. But today I want to talk about a specific topic when it comes to divorce. You know, uh, it's so easy to run and get a divorce these days, right? You can end your marriage if you want to, whatever you feel like your reason is behind it. Most people just go with it, right? But I would like to heed you, right? Give you a warning before you consider divorce. I want you to consider a few things, because being a person that has went through divorce and process it, I just want to help other people. I see people. Going through challenges right now in their relationships. They're either considering divorce, they're already started the paperwork, they've already started going through the process. But this is something that I just want to share with you guys to kind of help some people out, so that, if this is what you choose to do, you know and understand everything that comes with it. Divorce is messy, divorce is ugly, divorce is hard. And a lot of times we aren't prepared to go through that process. Are we ever prepared? No. Nobody can truly be prepared for the ending of a relationship, the ending of a marriage. But because of my experience and what I've went through, and with me bumping my head a few times, I've bumped my head so you don't have to bump yours. I want to help you shift your perspective, as well as give you some tools and some practical resources to help you go through this process. If this is what you choose to do, or plot twist, reconsider divorce. So let me get into this. So like I said, um, I it's a lot of times I get it gets taken out of context my messaging, right? When people hear me talk, they think I'm like this guy that's just like pro divorce, right? Get a divorce, sign them papers, leave them. And I'm not. I'm really not. I'm pro family. I'm pro marriage. I believe in marriage. I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in doing everything in your power to make it work. But I also understand that sometimes you just can't fix it. Sometimes divorce is the best option for your situation. But I also understand that a lot of times we be in our feelings. And a lot of times we don't do the work that we need to do in order to make our relationships work, or in order for us to like health in a healthy way process the divorce. So that's what kind of led to having this conversation tonight. So before you consider divorce, these are a few things I want you to consider. Now, when I got my divorce, I went through my process and I started like helping people. One of the things that I would always get approached with, like, yeah, man, I'm thinking about getting a divorce, and you know, and when they would come to me, it was almost like they was coming to me thinking that I'm just going to like affirm them, say, yeah, man, do what you got to do. But I would always ask them the question first: is this really what you want to do? Then I would proceed to ask some other questions, like, have you done everything in your power to try to make it work? Now, when I ask that question, most people say, "Yeah, man, I did everything, man. She tripping, blah blah blah," or "He ain't changing this and that." But if you really sit down, if you really sit back, remove your feelings, remove your emotions, remove your pride, and ask yourself, "Have I done all the things that I can to make this thing work, or to fix whatever problem that I have in this relationship?" If you really did it, you will come to the conclusion that maybe you haven't done everything. Now, what do I mean by doing everything? Have you went to therapy, both with your partner and without your partner? Have you been to counseling? Have you been to any marriage conferences? Have you invested in your marriage? Have you read books? Have you done research? Like, what have you done to try to make this thing work? If you have done none of those things, divorce probably shouldn't be the first thing on your plate. Divorce shouldn't probably be the first thing that you think about. The first thing that you should think about is, have I done everything to make this work? Right? A lot of times we don't invest in our marriages. Like, and if we were to start a business, we'll put money into that business to make it work. We'll invest in stock. Some of us will gamble on FanDuel, but we won't put any money into our marriages. And we're trying to figure out why it's not. We're not trying to figure out why it's not working. When it stopped working, we just don't want to do anything to make it work. So I would encourage you, before you consider divorce, try investing in your marriage. Try to like make that thing work. uh don't, there's people who are married now who have isolated themselves from others. Like, it's just them and their spouse. Like, they have no married friends, they have no married community that they're a part of, and they're like navigating marriage by themselves with just them. That's not healthy. Because what that does is only create this tension that anytime I'm mad at you, I'm just mad at you, and there's nothing that I can do to fix that. There's no sound wisdom or any voice outside of you and that person to help you steer you back to that person or back to love. It's just you and your feelings, they and their feelings, and that's it. So you have to do things that are productive to your marriage in order to make it work. You can't say your marriage isn't working if you haven't done the things to try to make it work. So before you consider divorce, by all means, exhaust all means of reconciliation. Go to therapy, okay? Not just therapy with a couple. Go to therapy for yourself. And when you go to therapy as a couple, please don't go there thinking you about to fix your spouse. The goal isn't to fix your spouse. The goal is to fix your marriage. And what that requires is for you to do some deep inward work in order for you to be the best version of you that you can present in this marriage. If we are being completely honest, right? There are some things that we've done in our relationships that we know dang well, like, man, if I would have, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have handled that way, right? But our pride to tell us that it's all them. So you have to, go to therapy, go to counseling, get a mediator to hear both sides. Somebody that's biased, unbiased. I mean, somebody that doesn't know y'all situation. They just hear what y'all talking about, and they give y'all the information that y'all need to process that, right? So buy you a book about marriage. Go to a marriage seminar. Go to a marriage conference. Invest money into your marriage. We invest money into everything except that. Do that. So before you consider divorce, consider that. Consider doing all things that you can to make it work. The next thing is trying to understand, if you want to, like, why do you want a divorce? What is the root issue of you wanting a divorce? Is it because you're unhappy? Is it because you're unsatisfied? Right? You know, maybe it's infidelity. Maybe those are things, common things. But a lot of times, if we really sit back, we'll see that the reason why we want this relationship to end is because we're unhappy, we're unsatisfied. Well, if you're unhappy, what's making you unhappy? A lot of us go into, I say this all the time, divorce isn't the problem. Ill-advised marriages are, right? I got that from Tori Roberts. We go into marriage with expectations. We go into marriage thinking that marriage is going to be one way. And when we get into the marriage and it's not how we expect it, we automatically assume this was wrong. And we don't take into account that we had the wrong interpretation of what marriage was. So you have to be real with yourself. If you're unhappy, you need to figure out why you're unhappy. Are you unhappy because of your spouse? Is your spouse making you unhappy? How does your spouse make you unhappy? Is it that your spouse is making you unhappy, or there are issues that you've never dealt with that your spouse triggers, right? Are you not satisfied in life, right? If I'm feeling unfulfilled, the closest thing to me, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to blame the closest thing to me as to why I'm unsatisfied when I can't figure out what. Because our brain, the way that our brain works, it has to solve the problem. So when we don't have all the information, our brain will make up things to make what we're feeling make sense, even if it doesn't make sense. So if I'm feeling unsatisfied, if I'm unhappy, my brain will tell me, oh, you're unhappy because of this person, or you're unhappy because of that. When the reality is, I'm really unhappy because at the root of it, there are some issues that I never dealt with. Maybe you're still dealing with some issues from your last relationship. Maybe you grew up, you were abused. Maybe you have daddy issues, mommy issues. There's a plethora of things that can happen that will cause you to think that it's your spouse that's making you unhappy. It's your spouse that's keeping you unsatisfied. I would encourage you, the moment that you feel unsatisfied, the moment that you feel unhappy, vocalize it, of course. Let your spouse know, hey, listen, I'm unhappy right now. You know, a lot of y'all are unhappy, and it's unfair to your spouse because you haven't told them that you're unhappy, and you expect them to just know that you're unhappy because you've been quiet all day because you ain't said nothing. Yeah, they should maybe pick up signs, but you want to know what's better if you just say, hey, listen, I'm unhappy and I want to be happy. Let's figure this out. That would solve half of your problems. And once you vocalize that and communicate that, like if you can communicate why you're unhappy and your spouse takes the initiative to do the things to try to help you or help avoid doing the things that make you unhappy, that can solve a lot of your problems. But a lot of it ain't even your spouse. A lot of it is you. You have to go on a journey of self-discovery, a journey to figure out who you are, right? Like I said before, divorce isn't the option, it's ill-advised marriages. And what I mean by that is we're not prepared when we get married. Another thing that Tori Roberts said is that a lot of times people get married and not know their purpose, right? And then once they're married, they find their purpose or they discover what their purpose is. And you have two options. Either you sacrifice your purpose to save your marriage, or you sacrifice your marriage to save your purpose. And you don't want to be in any one of those predicaments, right? So this is why it's important that even prior to marriage, you do all of these things so that you know exactly what you want, exactly who you are when you step into a marriage, so that when you evolve into who you are, you're evolving with someone that has the capacity to evolve with you. A lot of us are blaming our spouses. A lot of us are blaming the people that we're with, when the reality is it's really us. It's really an issue that we have to deal with. So before you consider divorce, consider this. Am I the problem? Is my unhappiness rooted in things that I haven't dealt with? Is my lack of satisfaction rooted in areas that I have not pursued in my life? What is the root cause of these things? Because when you get to the root of it, you can eliminate it being your spouse's fault, right? So, divorce isn't just like this quick fix for your problems. I tell people all the time, there's consequences for divorce, right? Before you consider divorce, consider this, that there are consequences. It ain't gonna be easy. Now, there are some people who have a clean cut where once they get a divorce, it's over with. They don't have to deal with their ex no more. There's no tension. There's no drama. It happens. And, I'm happy for that. But for a lot of people, it's not that simple. It's not that sweet, especially when you have children involved, right? You got to deal with going to court, dealing with custody battles, dealing with a miserable or a bitter ex, right? Or dealing, I don't even want to use that term, dealing with the ex who's hurt, right? So they lash out and they do things, and you sit there like, why are they doing this and that? No, this is part of it. You made a decision, and now you have to deal with the consequences of it. You can't get mad. You can't, expect people to have pity for you. This is part of it. It's hard. It's not easy. And when you think that, oh man, why are they doing this to me? Oh, woe is me. They're just being so mean and this and that. No, this is what you signed up for when you sign up for divorce. So you have to be okay with the consequences. Are you ready to go through a lengthy court battle? Are you ready to deal with the potential of not seeing your kids anymore? Are you ready to deal with your character being attacked? Are you ready for the lies and the rumors? Are you ready for just headache, financial woes? Are you ready for that? If you look at your spouse and say, you know what? It ain't worth it. I'll stick around. You might want to reconsider the idea of divorce. Okay. Like I said, man, I wish that everybody can work out their problems. I wish that everyone can reconcile their issues so that we can have lasting marriages, happy homes, and families that are growing, that goes through triumphs, that are redeemed, that are examples of what it looks like when you keep fighting. But the reality is, it don't happen that way all the time, and that's okay. But you can't just like operate in your feelings and just want to jump to divorce because you ready for it to be over with. And you ain't done nothing to make it work. You haven't listen, marriage is work. It we've seen pop culture tell us, from childhood, first come love, then come marriage, then come baby and the baby carriage. We see all the TV power couples, the Beyonce and Jay-Z. We see all the when we was kids, we used to see the Pink Ranger and the Green Ranger together, all this romance on TV, and we're programmed to think that marriage and relationships is supposed to be like this beautiful thing, when in reality it's a lot of work. And if you're not willing to do the work, why get married? If you're already married, it's time for you to do the work. It's going to get messy. It's going to get hard, right? And if you're a believer, listen, this is specifically for people who are believers. You cannot bail out because you can't get your way or because things ain't going right. Now, you may look at like, Tommy, that's hypocritical because you did it. Yeah, I did it. And there's consequences behind it, right? But and a lot of this stuff I learned after my marriage. I didn't learn any of this stuff while I was married. I was ignorant to a lot of this stuff. And a lot of the stuff I learned after my marriage, which I'm grateful. As crazy as it sounds, I'm so grateful for my divorce, because had it not been for that, I would not be the person that I am today or have the knowledge and understanding and wisdom that I have today. But I say that to say that it's your job to, marriage is a selfless thing. If you're in a marriage and you're doing things because you expect somebody else to do it in return, like when you love somebody, everything that you do should be strictly for love. It shouldn't be because I'm going to do this so you can do this. Unless you communicate those expectations, that's manipulation. So we have to understand that, like, yo, maybe I need to do a little bit more work. Maybe I need to, try to fix this thing. And when I say try to fix this thing, I'm not talking about fixing that person. I'm not talking about allowing that person to abuse you. I'm talking about taking a deep look at yourself and ask yourself, am I doing everything I should be doing to make this marriage work? If you can't answer that question 100% yes, you might want to reconsider divorce. Before you consider divorce, exhaust all means of making or trying to make things work. I'm telling you, divorce ain't what you want. It's not sweet. It's not beautiful. It's not lovely. I see people all the time. They be having these love. Because I'm a photographer, and I would get people often. Hey, I want to do this photo shoot. I'm like, okay, cool. What is it? I'm doing a divorce photo shoot. I'm celebrating my divorce, and I just look at them like, this moment that you're celebrating your divorce. You know you're gonna be miserable for the next 6 months, right? You know it's going to be hard for the next 6 months. So all this smiling and enjoyment that you're having because it's over, you got to go through the hard stuff. And sometimes it's not worth it. It's cheaper to keep her, as they say. you know, it's sometimes it's not worth going through that headache. What is more beautiful than to see someone work through their problems and rebuild the foundation of their marriage, and to be like an example of what it's like to go through the mud and come back on top, strong, healthy, and beautiful. That, to me, that's so beautiful. And I know, it ain't for everybody. Everybody can't do this. Sometimes divorce is the option, but before you consider divorce, consider these things, please. I don't want, I see a lot of my, I don't want to say I see a lot of my friends getting divorced, but, I read between the lines and I see a lot. And I just want to help people. Some things y'all can work out. Everything ain't, every situation or issue isn't this is the end issue. Sometimes it's just like, okay, you hurt my feelings. I don't want to hurt no more. How can we fix that? And if you're with the right person and they love you, and you come to them and you come to them the right way, maybe they don't accept it. Go get a mediator, get a counselor, go to therapy, do something to try to make it work. Don't just jump to divorce. So, as crazy as it sounds, yes, the divorce coach is encouraging people not to get a divorce. But if you do get a divorce, come see me. I'm gonna help you out. But the ultimate goal is to consider all these factors, right? Don't go into divorce lightly, thinking that it's gonna be a cakewalk. thinking that's going to be a piece of cake, thinking that like you're going to be happy, it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. It's hard. It's tough. It's draining emotionally. It's draining mentally. It's draining physically. It has an impact on you. And if you go into divorce thinking that it's just going to be sweet, man, you're in for a rude awakening. So before you consider divorce, consider this. Don't do it. like do what you have to do to make it work. And now listen, once you've tried to do everything to make it work, by all means, do what you got to do. And even in me saying this, and you may not even take my advice, at the end of the day, it's between you and God. That's your decision, is your life. You got to live it. But I'm just sharing my opinion based on what I've experienced. Like I said, I've bumped my head, so you don't have to bump yours. So please, before you consider divorce, consider these things. Watch this video, share it, talk to your friends, tell them, hey, y'all go watch this video. You may have somebody right now that's considering divorce. Please don't be in their ear saying, man, yeah, leave that bum, or yeah, man, leave that trick. Don't do that to them. Don't do that to them. They're vulnerable right now. They're hurting right now. They're experiencing some tough times right now. Be there as a listening ear, but encourage them, hey, do all that you have to do to make it work. And if you do everything that you tried everything, then make that decision. But that's all I got for tonight. Stay tuned. I got more videos coming. Thank you guys for watching.